how did you traverse into, I think you were at about age 6 when you started modeling, and then all of a sudden you're a Playboy model. How does one take that journey? How did that happen for you?
Sheer luck and timing, I would say. I lived in a very, very small town. There was maybe 1,000 people in it. And my stepdad at the time was doing car shows. And so when I was 16, I started doing car shows where you just go and you stand next to cars and people take your photos, but it paid really well, especially being 16. And I randomly got asked by someone last minute to cover at SEMA, which is a huge car show down here in Las Vegas. And I was super excited. I had never been to Las Vegas before, so I hopped on the chance. And while I was there, a photographer came up to me and was like, "Oh, you should do this photo shoot for me." And I always went through my agency, so people approaching me, I was like super skeptical and nervous. Then he sent over like 4 other really gorgeous models to tell me how great of a photographer he was. So he sold me and he offered me to fly to the Florida Keys to do a photo shoot. And of course, it's Canadian winter. I'm like, of course, I would like to go to the Florida Keys at any time for any reason. So I did that photo shoot. And while I was there, he was like, "Have you ever thought of doing Playboy?" I had never even seen a Playboy before at this point. I would consider myself fairly modest. I did bikini modeling, but I'm the girl that at the gym, I change in the bathroom stall. Like I would never just like change openly in the gym. So I was like, absolutely not. Like I thought that it was porno. I was like, that's pornographic. I would never do that. And he was like, "Go home, buy a Playboy, look at it, and then we'll talk." And so I went home and I told my mom. And she went out and bought me my very first Playboy episode or issue ever. And it was Sarah Jean Underwood, who was the Playmate of the Year before me. It was her pictorial, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it was very tastefully done, and it wasn't graphic or crazy like I thought it was going to be. And so it took a little wearing down, but he submitted my photos into Playboy. And one day when I was cleaning my room, they just called me on the phone and were like, "Hef wants to invite you down to stay at the Playboy mansion and shoot." And I was like, had a panic attack because I was not mentally prepared for any of this. But my mom convinced me. She's like, "You're only young and hot once. Just go do it. Like you'll regret it later in life if you don't." And so yeah, I flew down there and the rest is history. It happened really quick once I got to Los Angeles.
And then how long did that last in your career? After that, how much did that sort of spurn other opportunities and you keep the fire burning?
Well, I became a playmate first. And so for your whole year, basically there's a playmate every month. So I was January. So for that whole entire year, you do, jobs, autograph signings, you show up places. But I still was living in Canada in my tiny little town. I went home and my mom owned a cleaning company. I would still clean houses with her to help her out. So it wasn't like I made some money and I was making jobs, but it wasn't like life changing. But then at the end of the year, when I won Playmate of the Year, that was a much bigger deal. So there hadn't been a Canadian Playmate of the Year in like 25, 26 years. So in Canada, this was huge news where it was slow on the news cycles up there. So it was like everything that I did was newsworthy all of a sudden. And I had autograph signings where I was like, "Oh my God, who would come to this? No one's going to come to this." And there would be like lines and lines down the block. And I would be signing autographs for like 4 straight hours. That went on basically for the whole year. I traveled all over the world with Playboy and working with other companies. And I got a lot of different jobs and modeling and movie roles and all kinds of different opportunities from that. So that was really, really crazy. But shortly after that, I got kind of more back into hospitality and running businesses. So I still kind of did it a little bit on the side. The club appearances and traveling, it just was so much fun as, a 22, 23-year-old me, just getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars to like go party places with my friends was like, amazing. But like after a couple of years of that, it's exhausting. Like I didn't want to get on a plane again. I didn't want to drink. So of course I opened a nightclub. That's a smart thing to do when you're over partying. But yeah, it lasted for quite a long time. I mean, it's still now 10 years later, and people still, that I meet on the street still know me from, Playmate of the Year and everything that happened after that. So
you said earlier something about before you made it. Was there a day or a time when you thought, I think I've made it? And if there was, can you talk to us about that moment?
I think walking into the Playboy mansion and meeting Hef was like a huge moment for me. I'm not like a person that, gets starstruck. I grew up, I didn't even have cable. So like I didn't know who most like people that knew celebrities. I didn't even know who most people were. But like everyone knows who Hugh Hefner is. And, I had never been to Los Angeles before. And, they sent a limo for me, and they had like security walk me from the limo to the house. And it was so beautiful. There was like peacocks walking everywhere and like so many beautiful women. And I don't think it like clicked into me at the moment. Like, wait, can I swear?
Yeah, so you like, yeah.
Because like, holy shit, like I wasn't like, oh, I made it now. I never was really trying to attain a certain level of modeling. I kind of just like did what I thought was fun and what I felt like I was good at and the opportunities that were given. But looking back on everything, I think that for sure was a moment for me where things were taken to the next level. I didn't go on castings anymore after that. So that was like a really big deal. Being able to do direct bookings and not have to show up to castings is like, that's for sure. If you're a model, that's like, you made it for sure.
Yeah.